And welcome back to Pardon the Interruption. I'm Brendan along with Kieran and Sam. Guys, what do you think about the Denver Broncos playoff chances this season?
I like them. I really like them. They brought in a new offensive line with Mike McGlinchey and Cam Fleming. McGlinchey is the highest paid offensive lineman in Broncos history. They've also brought in a new coach, Sean Payton, who works well with receiving backs, who they just traded for, Samaje Perine, one of my personal favorites. I think that will be a special team that they have this year and possible 11-6, 12-4 record.
Kieran, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I don't think the Mike McGlinchey signing is such an impactful one. I mean, he allowed 6 sacks and committed 10 penalties last year. Both those are pretty poor numbers in comparison to the rest of the league. I don't think he will make as big of an impact as you think he will. And to be honest, the offensive line, although it was a problem, I think the main problem is Russell Wilson here. He had a 16-11 touchdown interception ratio last year, which is really bad. And the problem isn't that he doesn't have weapons. I mean, Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are both pretty solid. He's getting Tim Patrick back this year, sure. But I just don't believe in Russell Wilson. And sure, a lot has been made of the Sean Payton hiring. Even Sean Payton couldn't win with a washed-up Drew Brees. Sure, they made the playoffs, but the AFC now is much stronger than it was when Sean Payton coached the Saints. There are at least 8 teams who I can say are easily better than the Broncos in the AFC right now. I don't see how they can be better than the Bengals, Ravens, Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs, Chargers, or Jaguars.
This is where I disagree with you on. He doesn't need Russell Wilson to be this amazing, great all-star QB. He just needs him to score 20, 25 points a game. And I think that's something that with great coaching, he can do. I mean, you talk about having a dominant defense. If the Broncos offense scored 18 points a game last season, I think their record was 12-5, 13-4.
What? They were 5-12 last year.
No, I know. I said if they scored at least 18 points.
18 points is well below average. That's
I know.
like the worst
I know.
in the league.
That's what I'm saying. Their defense was that good. Their defense held the other team to less than 18 points, and I think it was 11 or 12 games, and they lost us a significant amount of those. I mean, you have this elite defense, and they don't need Russell Wilson to be great. He just needs to be mediocre.
Quite frankly, I think they do. The defense became quite porous towards the end of the season. I mean, they gave up like 50 points to the Rams at the end of the season. A really mediocre offense, too, in the Rams. I don't see defense. Sure, they had good success earlier in the season against some more mediocre opponents, but I think they're going to need Russell Wilson at the end of the day to play some hero ball if they're going to be better than any of the teams I just mentioned, because those are some really high-powered offenses. Their defense is not good enough to shut down any of those teams.
I mean, I just disagree with you, man. I think their defense is at that top level, and they don't need Russell Wilson to do that much. I mean, you brought up the game where they scored 50. Well, that was the end of the season. They already were locked out of the playoffs. It seemed like a dysfunctional locker room, and they just gave up, essentially. But I don't think that's going to happen under new leadership and new signings.
This brings up the question. You mentioned that they have a very good defense. How do you think that defense stacks up against teams like the Chargers and Chiefs, who have very high-powered offenses?
Well, I mean, we just got to look at what they did in the past and see if they can replicate it in the future. I mean, those are high-powered offenses. I don't think there's a defense out there that can definitely stop them. But I mean, it's something that you can maybe just give Russell Wilson the opportunity to play well enough to get the win.
I don't think that their defense is the problem. I think the defense, I don't think it'll be quite as elite as it was last season. But I think it'll be, like slightly above average, sure. I don't think the offense, frankly, is good enough to atone for that defense, because compared to, I mentioned 8 teams, I cannot think that they're going to be better than any 2 of them.
I mean, I never said the defense was the problem. I said that they were a great addition to it, and Russell Wilson just needed to be mediocre for them to have a great season. But it seems like we're out of time here.
Well, that's all from us. This is PTI, sponsored by Quicken Loans. Brendan, Sam, and Kieran.